That's why Anna Olson is here. She's a baking expert. Hello.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be here, Jody.
Thank you for coming and bringing delicious-looking cookies, but also the recipes and ideas for our Christmas baking. Do tell.
Well, now is the time when you think about your holiday cookies, because you can get ahead of the game now. We know December gets a bit crazy. We're busy. We've got the family commitments, activities, office parties, kids things to do. So get some of your cookies made now. And this is one of my holiday staples, Toblerone shortbread cookies.
You had me at Toblerone. Okay, put us to work. Let's do this. Well, with cream and butter.
A good shortbread starts with, of course, butter, a full cup of butter, and I have half a cup of icing sugar. Now, this is a whipped style of shortbread, which means I'm going to start on low speed with the icing sugar, and then
so it doesn't go.
Yeah, it's not the kind you press in a pan, which is the Scottish style.
Right.
So you want it to be nice and fluffy. So believe it or not, it's a key step to beat your butter and sugar really well. That'll hold the cookie together, because it needs to be tender and delicate, but still, of course, not fall apart on you in the bottom of the cookie tin.
Of course. Now, these cookies can be taken as hostess gifts, or you can give them as homemade gifts, or for the teacher at school, for your kids.
They're just a staple cookie. And what defines a shortbread, outside of course, lots of butter, is the fact that there's no egg in it. You can't put an egg in a shortbread and call it a shortbread.
Oh,
I know.
I did not know that. But
what I do put in is about a teaspoon of vanilla. And a nice shortbread like this, if you have vanilla bean paste, is beautiful, because you see the speckle of the vanilla beans in there.
Even more festive, yes.
And if you'd like to add, this is a bit of cornstarch. Now that's key to a nice tender shortbread. Recipes call for cornstarch or rice flour.
Because it's lighter? Is it the texture of it or the grind of it?
Well, it actually does something. It technically shortens the cookie. So shortbread gets its name because it's a short or delicate dough. It has no egg, and it has that snap on the tip of your tongue, but then
it melts in such a beautiful way. Oh, we love our shortbread. The entire crew is salivating now. Now you have salt here.
Yep. If you want to put a little bit of
savory
salt, which brings up a point. When I bake cookies, I start with
a little more?
Yeah, nope, that's good.
Okay.
Just a quarter teaspoon.
Okay.
I bake with unsalted butter.
Why
That's one of my key baking tips, because that way you're in charge of the salt. Recipe for recipe, your butter requirements vary and your salt requirements vary. Brand for brand, your salt within the butter varies, but also unsalted butter is fresher and sweeter tasting.
Baking is really chemistry, isn't it? Like, we can all just add a little of this, add a little of that when we're making savory foods and whatnot.
It's a combination of the methods and the ingredients, so you have to have a little respect for both. But that said, all you have to do is follow the instructions.
Fair enough.
So, you know, step one, step two, and away you go.
So give us your 4 top tips for when we want to make our baking just that extra little level of delicious.
Sure. Well, step 1 is that bake with unsalted butter.
Okay.
And then what you can always do is buy it and freeze it ahead of time and thaw it when you need it. That way you have it on hand for baking.
That's a great tip for butter. Because inevitably you're going, what?
Step number 2 is to make your doughs now and freeze the doughs.
Pre-baked?
Nope. Unbaked.
Yeah, because before you bake them. Okay.
Unbaked takes up less room in the freezer, and they don't get compromised. You know, if you freeze cookies, that they come out of the freezer not as good as when they went in.
Not as crispy.
So they take up less space, and I do a bin for each week of Christmas. Wrap the doughs, and I just put on the wrapped, you know, if it's a slice and bake at 325, 18 minutes.
Write it right on
so
there.
Then you don't have to go look up the recipes again.
Okay, put me to work making cookies here. What are we doing?
So I've got this, let me give this one.
Tip number 1, unsalted butter. Tip number 2,
freeze your cookie dough.
Tip number 3 is,
we use pecans and walnuts and almonds a lot in holiday baking. When I buy them, I spread them out on a baking tray, the whole, not recipe for recipe, but the whole bag I buy.
Right.
And I toast them for about 10 minutes at 350, and then I put them in a canister, so I have them always on hand. So if I find I have half an hour to make a batch of cookies,
keep an eye on those when they're toasting and make them just right. What a great addition.
10 minutes at 350.
So smart. Okay.
And the last tip is, and here we'll do this, baking with friends. If you want to scoop some cookies.
Here's the baking with friends. I have just started
with family and friends.
Baking with my little boy. He loves keeping Winky, the cookie jar, nice and full. So what am I doing, like that?
Yep, just about a teaspoonful. If you want, it's delicate enough you can even shape it if you wish.
I do. So, Anna, what brings you to Vancouver?
Well, I'm going to be at the West Coast Christmas Show today and tomorrow, sharing some holiday recipes and entertaining ideas. The theme is home for the holidays, so it's all about building those memories, and that's what baking is a big part. It's about the memories.
It is.
Yeah.
You can always remember grandma's cookies, mom's cookies, dad's cookies for that matter, and making the cookies with the littles. So we're putting a little Toblerone in here.
You can chop or break up pieces. It can be any other candy if you want, or you can leave it simply quite plain because it's a delicate, beautifully flavored shortbread.
Like
and that stays in place as it bakes. If you want, you can even put a cap on it, so it's a little bit of a surprise.
And what are we giving away today? What have you brought for our viewers? We have a giveaway from Anna to go to see her at the
West Coast
Christmas show. You can email us now, contests@btvancouver.ca. What's the subject line? Shortbread? Baking? I don't know.
Either. Both.
Either or. Both. Email in. You can hang out with Anna. Thank you so much for coming. My shortbread hand to your shortbread hand.
Two buttery hands.
You gotta try one of these. Oh, that's going down. Have one with me. Okay. You don't want to bake alone. You don't want to eat your cookies alone.
Exactly. Oh, those
subject line is Christmas, I'm told.
Okay.
Thank you.
There we go.
Contest@btvancouver.ca. Let's try it.